Here's another message. The third dimension is the ego of Gaia. The third dimension holds an ego state for humanity, and it is the ego of Gaia. Now, the ego of Gaia is much different than the ego of a human. The ego of Gaia holds lower vibrations where animals can be at odds or harm one another or use each other for food, where different species can kind of fight against each other. The third dimension brings about the destruction of self because it holds an idea that it has to have power to feel important and worthy. So the third dimension is about the ego state, and each soul decides to move into the ego state dimension to experience the separation from their source of energy, from their selves, in order to then work within the energies and then ascend back into the higher frequency of self. And self meaning source energy God, or higher frequencies of you, higher self. So when and as we ascend into a higher frequency, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, the ego is being shed from Mother Gaia. And because the ego is being shed from Mother Gaia, those who are moving with the ascension are also shedding their ego. So they're moving into more comprehension of love, unity, and empathetic emotions. Now, as humans ascend into a higher frequency, like the higher frequency you get, the less emotions there are. And here's why. Because you don't need emotions to connect with your nervous system to follow your true self. Only in these lower frequencies and dimensions are emotions so important and a part of our reality because they are used to help us navigate and find our way through the system here on Earth, through the third dimension and then into the fourth dimension and eventually the fifth dimension for this current human race. However, that human race, once it's reached to the fifth dimension, will continue to ascend. And this is how all the other dimensions have been created. So it's an evolution, a constant. And then those of us, since connected to the Octarians or other dimensions that have awareness of these things shifting in the quantum field of the universe, will assist in coming to volunteer to help then pull that next energy up. So the Earth split is leaving the third dimension and then creating itself into, it's like in the in-between phase is the fourth dimension and then fully into the fifth dimension. So as humanity continues to release the ego, heal the ego, let go of fear, and the idea is that there's a power system outside of you controlling you and coming back to knowing I am that I am capable of creating my own reality. I don't have to rely or worry about something outside of myself. You shift into a higher thought form. Your emotions and feelings shift and change. They're not as dense. Then you become more clear in your energy field, which then gives you the ability to tune in to yourself as a multidimensional being. So we are in the moment of purging the ego. In 2026 into 2027 is going to be a wave of that ego shed. And those of us that are ready to fully shift in the fourth dimension will be moving into that within the next year. Within the next 5 years, some will be ready to begin to see a fifth dimension energy. However, as you're in the between, if you could see, I know I did this in a couple videos a couple years ago where I saw two circles splitting apart, and that represented the earth pulling like two different circles coming, or two earths. And so it's hard to comprehend this in our human mind because we think, well, how can there be two earths? Well, there's many earths. You guys, we just know this one. And so this is rebirthing itself. And then what happens is a planet rebirths itself and rebirths itself. And this takes, to human time, it takes billions to trillions of years to create a new planet or a new reality for a dimension and a race or a being or another ET, you may call, to form and develop and be created. So there's always new things being created. There's always new species. There's always new planetary system. This is an ever-evolving universe, you guys. We can't comprehend any of that from the human mind. But this is all information about what is happening on Earth right now and why so much is happening with the darkness, because Mama Gaia is shedding her ego